Operation Gideon's Chariots continues in some format or another. So earlier this morning, Israel eliminated two terrorists. One of them is Ahmed Sarhan, a senior commander in the Al Nasser Saleh ad-Din brigades of the Popular Resistance Communities. This is like the third biggest terrorist organization after Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. In quite an impressive operation when you think about it. They arrived in a bus. The soldiers dressed as women went into the house. I maybe attempted to capture him alive, didn't, but captured his wife and children and killed him. So that's impressive. And Mahdi Kawara, Hamas commander of the Khan Yunis Central Battalion. So that's just this morning, and of course, military action that is uh, harming Hamas's ability to kill Jews and generally the Palestinian ability to do so is continuing. At the same time, before this morning's eliminations of some terrorists, Netanyahu decided to resume aid into Gaza. This is going to be distributed by Israel until the U.S. companies that are supposed to do it can figure it out in a few days. And yeah, so that's the situation in Israel right now. Israel, look, they say that Gideon's Chariots is the operation that will end Hamas. It certainly isn't the operation that will end Israel's support of Hamas because they are still feeding them. Israel says, by the way, that they have mechanisms that will prevent this aid from getting to Hamas, but they said that in the past. So you know what will prevent aid from getting to Hamas? Not letting or sending any aid into Gaza at the very least until they release all the hostages, surrender, lay down their arms, and then maybe. Welcome to the Daily Objective. I'm Razi Ginsburg. I'm joined by Daniel Kraus. Daniel, I know you're unhappy with the aid situation.
Yeah, I mean, just first on the topic of sort of the elimination of terrorists. I think one of my favorite shorts we ever did, or okay, this is a bit egotistical, but it was a short of mine where I talked about the metaphysical insignificance of Sinwar. Because for those who don't remember, Sinwar wasn't targeted killed. They weren't going after Sinwar. They were just swiping the area for terrorists, and just happened. Sinwar was one of the terrorists they managed to kill, and that was, I think, such a moral victory for Israel to basically tell to these terrorists, you're not important enough to like for us to target. So in a similar way, this operation, the fact that, or at least the way this operation was given to us, the fact that it's gonna go sweep through Gaza, all the area that get captured get occupied or basically get controlled. According to some sort of people inside Netanyahu's government, as well as Netanyahu himself, forever, that basically Israel is not going away after they capture even the whole thing. So I was filled with a bunch of hope. Maybe I'm an optimist, so I like to always hope for the better. But I hoped that Israel wouldn't bend within 2 days. And this is exactly what it is. This is bending. We can go to some of the things that were said. But yeah, Israel, again, the idea isn't even like what is bad about this is even the plan itself was already bad because the aid was going to be distributed anyway. There was going to be set up in the south of Gaza. There was going to be set up a camp for basically distribution of aid. So there was going to be distribution of aid before even finishing this operation, before actually like destroying all of Gaza or destroying the spirit of Palestinians and occupying Gaza. So before even that, aid was to be distributed, but even that was not enough. So they had to bend in to the pressure and basically distribute aid before they even started distributing aid. So yeah, this is like already with the original plan, I was worried that it was not going to be enough to set up future occupation of Gaza. With this, again, yeah, Hamas might get destroyed, or some people in Hamas might get killed, but essentially, Palestinians will be like, okay, well, all right, they killed these guys, but they do not think our ideology is bad. We can just try another day. We can just do it again because we know, oh, if things get bad, we'll get aid from our enemies. So again, that like the highest welfare that Palestinians are getting is from Israel itself. The amount of safety net they are getting for actual terrorism, the fact that there is a safety net for terrorism, yeah, probably will not promote the best ideas within the Palestinian culture.
Yeah, I mean, this idea that Israel will hold on to the territories that it captures is as believable as Israel is capable of preventing this aid from reaching Hamas. Of course, Israel will not hold on to these territories under the current policies. If there is a ceasefire agreement, if there is an agreement for a release of all the hostages, it will include Israel leaving, and Netanyahu will do that. Um, but yeah, I think we need to keep reminding ourselves and everybody how big an opportunity Netanyahu intentionally let get away with that whole hell to pay moment. Because I think part of what has turned Trump wants people, to kiss the ring, to do what he says. And this was a moment where he said to Israel, do what you need to do. And Israel refused to do that. It continued a ceasefire that had already been basically not necessary. We had moved past that. This was it's pisses me off so much, and it's going to continue to piss me off because the opportunity to do something there was as big as the opportunity to do something on October 7th itself. Um, and Netanyahu chose not to do that. By the way, Netanyahu spoke today in Hebrew, as did Smotrich, both of them talking about how we need to send in this aid in order, because otherwise the world won't let us finish Hamas off. The world won't let us do what we need to do. I think Smotrich said something about they'll accuse us of war crimes, and I'm thinking like I know sometimes people in the religious community in Israel don't are not the best English speakers, but have somebody translate it to you. They've been accusing Israel of war crimes since obviously long before October 7th, but on October 7th for the bombings of, the little bit of bombings that they did in response to what happened that day. The people who accuse Israel of war crimes are taking a side in this war, and that is the side that says all Jews should die, and that this guy is justifying feeding the people who are trying to kill him and all the other Jews with this. With this, we have to appease. Who are you appeasing? Yeah. Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, Razi, I don't know why there is such weakness from both the US and Israel now. I mean, with the US, there's no way of understanding or knowing what Trump will do or why and when. But there is, you do know that if he doesn't like what you do, he will let you know. Remember that RFK thing where he said something about Trump eating in McDonald's and then Trump had him take this photo op on the private jet with McDonald's? This is Donald Trump. Netanyahu should know this. He knows him. All right, Daniel, you speak a bit so I can calm down.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that really. I mean, so we have few quotes from Netanyahu. He said, so he talked a little bit about the senators, or the American senators. He said, senators I know as supporters of Israel come to me and say, we'll give you all the help you need to win the war, but we can't be receiving pictures of famine in Gaza. He said this in personal Telegram channel. And I mean, you know, well, first of all, this is whatever senators say or whatever is the American support. This is an excuse Netanyahu uses. This is an excuse Netanyahu has always used. When Israel gets wiped out, will Netanyahu say, "Well, Americans didn't allow us to defend ourselves, so we did get wiped out"? I mean, at some point, you need to accept responsibility and realize that what needs to be done. And if what Israel needs to do is lose all the American support, then that's what you do. Which again, if Israel took that gambit, I don't think like America would abandon Israel. I'd be surprised. So I think America is behind Israel, but Israel needs to choose what they want to do, and Israel is simply not doing anything. So Yeah, I mean, this resuming of it again, and even the sort of like surprising thing from Smotrich, in the past he basically he threatens to leave the government like every single week, pretty much. And now he also banned it. He pretty much said, well, this wouldn't allow. I don't know exactly what he said, but yeah, he pretty much agreed with the aid from going in. Said yeah something about the war crimes or something. I heard him actually speak English, and yeah, not maybe he should get a translator, not his best quality.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
surprised.
uh, yeah, and I mean, I have one more quote. In order to complete our victory to defeat Hamas and free the hostages, we cannot reach a point of famine. Um, basically they won't support us. Again, the way you win a war is reach the point of famine. That's when the wars are ended. It was when Japan was on the brink of starvation that the war ended. It was when Germany in World War One was on the brink of starvation after years of blockade, where they decided to surrender rather than completely fall apart. This is what you do. It's when the South was completely dismantled. It's when they gave up. You don't destroy your enemy by killing a certain amount of enemy combatants or by killing a certain amount of munitions or isolate them from their supporters or anything in that regard. It's by crushing the spirit to fight, the willingness to fight. And this is not going to be achieved by constantly supplying them day after day with more aid until like what do you expect again? What is the war plan here? What is the belief? Like, what is the view? What is the Israeli view of Palestinians, of Gaza? What is the Western view of Gaza? That it is just a bunch of, like, it's one gang that is holding 2 million people hostages, and and they need to be helped. I mean, Palestinians are supporting Hamas. As I always say, give me one time where the Palestinians gave us information about the hostages. One time where they did anything to Hamas, where they did anything to help Israel. Even now, they are still standing up. Even when they have a choice to leave, they do not leave. They refuse to even leave from this area. So don't give me any stuff about how any idea of like innocent Palestinians. If there were any, uh, I simply, of course, besides children, if there are sort of like any innocent Palestinians in Gaza, I don't believe so. Any innocent would have left by now. Any person with a little bit of like self-esteem, with a little bit of like yearning for life, would have done something by now, or be killed by Hamas.
Yeah, and as you said, you don't win wars by killing some of the combatants, or by, you also don't win wars by destroying the buildings, which Netanyahu seems to think you do. I mean, he did make a statement, was it last week or something, where he said, the buildings are destroyed. People aren't going to want to stay there, so they'll voluntarily migrate. And again, this is not war. War is not voluntary. They forced you into a war. They don't get to voluntarily migrate. If you actually want to win this war, first of all, you crush militarily the immediate threat, and then yeah, you the nicest thing you can do for Gazans, if you actually intend to allow your own people to remain alive, the nicest thing you can do for them is to send them elsewhere, which is why, that's to me the best case against the deportation of people in Gaza is the fact that it's a reward for what they've done. Yeah, the quote you read from Netanyahu, we can't have pictures of famine in Gaza. I mean, Netanyahu is basically telling all these people who spend their life on social media lying to the world about what's going on. Today I quote tweeted some video by this Gazan journalist who, is one of the big stars of the movement on X, where he showed, they blew up a tunnel that was under rubble. So, and he said, "Oh my God, they're exploding the rubble." Like, and people are commenting like this is horrible. So Netanyahu is feeding into the picture as an argument idea with, if we see a picture of it. By the way, you haven't seen any pictures of famine from Gaza, zero. And Israel itself kept saying, look, during the last ceasefire and hostage deal, we let enough aid into Gaza to feed the whole population for 6 months, and that's the whole population of 2 million, and we all know it is not 2 million. Okay. So there's probably enough food in there for a year, but it doesn't matter. I mean, if there is, that's a negative, not a positive. So Netanyahu from day one refused to stand up for Israel actually being doing the right thing in fighting a full-on war. And Israel is paying the price for this every single day. Thank you, Shauna, for the super chat. Shauna says, Americans wouldn't abandon Israel. We loved the cell phones. Israel standing strong would win higher support. We have a soldier culture here. I also think Israel standing strong would win higher support. You know, today I saw a quote from Michael O'Leary, the head of Ryanair, and he said, you know, we're something like we're getting tired of Israel. Like we're getting tired of this because they had to stop obviously on October 7th. I don't remember. I think it was months later that they came back sometime in 2024. There was a whole issue there with the terminal being closed, but so they had to leave again. And now there was the thing with the Houthis, and now they're not coming back. And yeah, if a country won't fully defend itself and will allow its own people to be under constant threat of bombs when it has the capacity to prevent it, why would you want to do business with them? So I agree with Michael O'Leary on this, if that is his name.
Yeah. Well, I'm a bit salty about that now because they did cancel my flight because I was flying back with Ryanair. But yeah, I mean he is right about it. I mean this should no longer be happening. Like people tend to forget the canceling flights, the fact that people have to go into bomb shelters, the uncertainty when it comes to security. This is not like a developed country situation. This is like an emerging country, sort of like this is like an African dictatorship or some sort of like emerging country that is like trying to deal with like three separate civil wars at the same time. The fact that Israel is tolerating this state of life, the fact that the world is demanding this state of life from Israel, right? They want Israel to not do anything about Hezbollah. They want Israel to not do anything about the Houthis, not do anything about Hamas, Palestinians, Iran, basically Syria for that matter. They simply want Israel to stay in this sense of like emerging type of market country, and it is not livable. Like the fact that I mean, yeah, the fact that Israel is a developed economy should, like, if there were, like, I was never a religious person. I never believed in God. I never even could grasp that concept, even when I was a young child. Um, but if there were any chosen people, the fact that Jews are able to develop a country in this region, the fact that Tel Aviv is a technology like center of the world, basically, the amount of like new businesses Israel is coming out with, it makes no sense with the type of like situation they live in. And if only Israel has realized that if they want to continue having this sort of like Western, this developed way of living, they need to do something about Palestinians. They need to do something about surrounding region. Um, but yeah, the world is demanding the same thing from them: surrender, do not fight. Uh, and yeah, and Israel believes in that. Israel believes that only if they don't fight, if they only fight in a specific way, the world will stand behind them. I mean, again, I would bring the example of like Smotrich. I mean, the fact that I read like him sort of like bending, it truly shows you, you know, yesterday you said there's more than 5% of the people, you know, that support what Israel has to do. And you misunderstand me because I said, no, there's only like 5 people rather than 5%. And, you know, now you have even somebody like Smotrich who was consistently relatively good, at least when it came to like response to Palestinians. Even he is sort of, and you know, he can get away with stuff because you know, if he argues for something that never gets implemented, he never have to suffer the consequences of it. But you know, now where Israel actually went a bit harder, he breaks because that requires actual consistency. That requires to have a proper philosophy, have a proper sort of view of the war, and also have the confidence to support it. Because, as I said, Netanyahu is risking the life of soldiers and of civilians. It's hard to say, go all in. But that's what a leader has to do. You have to, if you don't have the moral confidence to do what it takes to be a leader, and get the hell out.
Well, back to the whole five people five people thing, trying not to break the office at the same time. Yeah, I still, and if you mean only, objectivists, and even then, probably a minority among them in Israel, understand what needs to be done. Okay, but no, in terms of if you ask Israelis, are you okay right now with Israel actually wiping out Gaza? They'd probably say the majority would say no because of the hostages. I think many Israelis, did kind of wake up to who they're living next to on October 7th. There is this very strong emotional push, terrifying, really, in Israel, that, releasing the hostages is literally, they don't say it in these words, but it's literally for them above the future existence of the country, including them and the released hostages, will be living in a much more dangerous situation. Anyway, but yeah, in terms of what needs to be done, I do think there is a big percentage of the population. Then again, I before this show was watching Israel's Channel 14, the supposedly right-wing channel. There's a panel one by one, they're all praising this decision, not praising, the fact that Gazans are going to be fed, but praising the decision to do this while going in because maybe now you can really go in with full force because you're feeding them or whatever. And the one person who said I disagree was accused of being like Ben Gvir, which is very weird for me because Ben Gvir, I saw him tweet about it and I saw him do some sort of press conference, but he's a part of this government. So this is a Ben Gvir policy. Make no mistake about it. If you are sitting in the cabinet, you are a part of all the policies. So Ben Gvir, the people of Gaza, especially those fighting against Israel, can thank Itamar Ben Gvir. They get to live and fight another day. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, I wish the Bible was real. If it was, God would send an angel army to aid Israel. LOL. How do you know? Maybe he would aid the Palestinians. I think actually that's more likely, but yeah. No, what I'd like to do is what I'd like to see being real is the West's belief that Western values are superior and that those who attack us and try to destroy Western civilization need to be destroyed. Thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point about sort of the fact that, yeah, anybody within the government is agreeing with the policy of the government. And you cannot hide behind, well, if we fold it, then the left will come into power or there'll be an election and so we can finish it. That's how you pave the road into basically never actually solving anything, never actually resigning from government. I mean, didn't Netanyahu do something same that he's when the Gaza sort of pullout happened, that he would like resign, or that he would maybe you can remind me what exactly it was.
Well, there was the vote in the Knesset, which he said he would vote against, left with a couple of people who were with him, went out the room. They had the vote. And then when they were about to do the second round for the people who weren't in the room, he came in and voted for the disengagement. And then when it actually happened, that was when he resigned. So yeah, Netanyahu was against it. Then he was for it. Then he was against it. And now, even post October 7th, he's essentially for it because he does not want to bring back the settlements in Gaza, which of course, are a necessary part, I think, of the future for Israel. Thank you,
Yeah, so
Shauna, for another super chat. Shauna says the West is the best objectively. I agree. And thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat, which doesn't say anything, but I also agree. Daniel.
well, it shows a hippo doing like secret ops. Yeah, and this kind of unwillingness to actually have any principles and actually stand by those principles, even if it leads to like a sort of like short-term, like bad result, is something that Israelis doesn't have. That's something that we actually have in Slovakia. There is one guy who has a sort of a nickname of like destroyer of governments, because one time when the financial crisis happened and EU wanted to bail out Greece, he went against it and he basically destroyed the whole government. Basically, an election had to be called because he destroyed the whole government on
Israel has
principle.
that. Israel
What?
has that. That's Lieberman. When Israel had 5 elections in 3 years, it was Lieberman who was the reason for that. But he doesn't really offer anything positive.
Uh, well, I don't know that much about sort of like recent Israeli elections, but you could say maybe that brought in this the most right-wing government in Israeli history. So sort of like a government more willing to do sort of what is necessary. But even again with this one, it's yeah, we had a threat to I mean Dotzmai, who did Ben Gvir's party. I think at some point they did sort of like officially left the government, but that they kept supporting it. They were still sort of like giving it confidence. Then they rejoined. Same with like Smotrich, but yeah, now they are basically okay with it. Nothing changed, but uh, apparently something. Maybe their philosophy completely flipped from now on, but
You know who else's philosophy is completely flipped? What used to be called the right in America. Oh, come on, you walked right into that. What used to be called the right, and I don't, maybe they still call themselves the right, but they shouldn't because they're not, a separate ideology on a spectrum. They are the anti-left. And there are many good examples of that. I don't know who the best is. It could be Tucker, it could be Candace. Um, but we're going to be talking about Candace today on the reality show. Her latest is some interesting stuff she has to say about 9/11. I mean, these are things that you're going to hear if you watch the reality show that you would not have heard from Americans on the left until like a year or two after 9/11. But now you hear them from the so-called right. It's fascinating. I know people hear Candace and they usually I see viewership just dropped since I started promoting TRS. Maybe you heard the name Candace and you stopped watching, but you should watch this and you should see what she actually has to say about this. Remember, Candace is a big name, in the US. She is I don't I promise not to call her an intellectual, but she is an influencer.
influencer.
Yeah. And she does have influence, which is why we talk about her, and which is why I still understand that there's going to be comments. Why are you talking about her? But that's why. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everybody, for watching. By the way, tomorrow we'll be talking about Gary Lineker on the reality show. Yeah, for those of you in the UK, you know who he is. If you're not, you might still know who he is. Um, so, yeah, Candace. Gary Lineker tomorrow, and something on the Daily Objective. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.